What's going on, guys? Welcome to episode 2 of Randomizing to Elite, the series where I take 3 random players, build a unique team around them, and test that squad in Weekend League. This episode's going to be a little different from the last one because I decided to test my luck in the Foot Casino by completing the mid or prime icon player pick SBC, and boy did I hit the jackpot. That's right, we got mid Ruud from the player pick, and of course, I had to use him as one of the 3 players we build a squad around in this episode. This foot monster sets the bar for elite box-to-box midfielders in the game. Stats-wise, he has everything to dominate the midfield, but there is some room for improvement in key dribbling and defensive stats. I decided to go with the engine chem style because 1, slapping a shadow on him just seemed a little boring to me, and 2, boosting his agility and balance would make it easier to dribble in tight spaces and out of high pressing situations. I'm so excited to use this card in Weekend League because I've never been able to use such an expensive card in the years I've played foot. Moving on to the randomly generated players, the second player we are building a squad around is Future Stars Lunin. Really, the only important stat I want to highlight on this card is his high reflex, and with a cat chem style, we boost that to 97, which I think is the main reason he consistently makes big time saves. And finally, the last player generated is the storyline Christian Pulisic. This card looks extremely promising. With a Hunter Chem style, this card has 99 pace, 89 shooting, and 91 dribbling. However, although those stats at face value look really good, his 77 composure and curve is a little worrisome, but regardless, I'm excited to give this card a try. Moving on to the squad building aspect of the episode, what I try to do is focus on the strengths of the 3 players I have to build a squad around. And with Hullit's ideal position being a box-to-box midfielder and Pulisic really only being able to play out wide, I decided to go with the 4-3-3-5 because I really haven't seen anyone make this formation work, and I was up for the challenge to tinker with it myself. So with that said, let's check out the tactics. We are running with press after possession loss, 4 width, and 8 depth. Defensively, we are trying to pressure our opponent to lose possession in their third and also decrease the risk of getting counterattacked. Offensively, the team plays a possessive style with 5 width, 8 for players in the box, and corners free kicks are personal preference. I decided to play a possession style because 1, it goes hand in hand with the false 9 system, 2, I haven't used this offensive style since the start of foot and wanted to see if I can make it work against the current meta, and number 3, I'm a huge Pep fan, and this is kind of his trademark style. In game, the squad lines up with Lunin in goal. At right back, we have Future Stars Diogo Dalot, Prime Cannavaro, and Road of the Final Kunde as our center backs. What If Yuri as the left back. Mid Pep is in the CDM spot with mid Hullet and second inform Rodrigo de Paul as the box-to-box midfielders. At right wing, we have Freeze Lautaro Martinez, Christian Pulisic on the left, and headliners Mkhitaryan in the false 9 role. For the instructions, the right and left wingers are on cut inside and get in behind. The center forward is on stay central and get in behind. In the midfield, the most attack-minded player is on get into the box for crosses, free roam, and cover center. The all-around balanced midfielder is just on cover center, and the CDM is instructed to man mark, stay back while attacking, and cover center. And lastly, the fullbacks are on balanced attack with overlap. But if the opponent is relying on counter-attacking the white spaces, or if you're trying to see out a game, I would change the instruction to stay back while attacking. Now, let's jump into the highlights. These are a few highlights from the past Weekend League, but I went ahead and linked my Weekend League tracker if you want to check out the game-to-game results and some of the player stats. So one of the main reasons the squad turned out this way is because second inform Rodrigo de Paul really caught my eye. As a huge fan of the Serie A, Rodrigo de Paul has been one of the best goal-scoring midfielders in the league for the past 3 seasons. His card is amazing value for only 35k. And Engine Chem style really makes this card a great attack-minded midfielder to pair with a more traditional box-to-box player. The Engine Chem style helps boost all of his dribbling stats to at least in the mid-80s, some even in the 90s, and puts all passing stats in the 90s, which is backed by his 17 assists in only 28 games this weekend. And lastly, shooting-wise, this card isn't amazing, but he does get the job done, shown by his 15 goals scored from midfield. Continuing with the Serie A theme, when looking around at the promo cards, the player I thought could play the false 9 position really well is this headliner's Mkhitaryan. His high base passing and dribbling stats looked super tempting, as those are probably the two most important stats I look for in a player that gets involved in the midfield area. And with a Hunter Chem style, this card turns into a 92 rated center forward in game. His pace gets boosted near the high 90s, and his shooting becomes almost perfect with 99 attack positioning, 95 finishing, 99 shot power, along with a 5-star weak foot. All that for 95k is insane, and there is close to none when it comes to players that have those stats for that price. The only tricky thing is to link him in a squad, but even then, there's so many good Serie A cards on the market that you can easily put a solid squad together. In game, he lived up to those stats by being the top goal scorer this weekend with 30 goals, and also tied for the most assists with 17. I think it's easy to say that Headliner's Mkhitaryan takes home the Weekend League MVP award for this episode. With all that gameplay commentary out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and chat about my thoughts on the whole EA Gate situation. So for those that aren't really aware of this, EA Gate is basically about their allegedly, and I want to stress this, allegedly being a black market connected to EA employees, where some people have been able to directly buy the most expensive foot items from them. And I'm talking foot items like Prime Icons, Icon Moments, and some Team of the Years. All the evidence of this alleged black market can be found on tweets that I have provided links to in the description. With that said, EA have already put out a statement saying that they were unaware of this going on, and after investigating, they will take the proper steps to deal with the situation. And again, I want to emphasize that this is all alleged because I don't want to spread misinformation. But for the sake of this conversation, let's assume there is some truth to the alleged black market and what that means about the current state of FIFA. In my opinion, it is absolutely not okay that paying is the only way to have access to and use players, period. This shows how terrible and backwards the game format is designed in terms of both gameplay rewards and content. It is so gross to see that people feel the need or are willing to spend thousands of dollars on an item just because it is literally unattainable to 99.99% of the community. And I think that is one of the biggest problems. I know that some people can say that you're not a menus grinder and you need to grind the menus, but even on the content side, some people who love to grind the menus and or trade and also put a lot of time into the game aren't able to afford those high-end cards either. But that aside, this is a football simulator. You should be rewarded with access to all the cards by putting in time into the gameplay. And I know the gameplay has its flaws, but that's a totally different discussion. For example, right now, grinding an entire week of competitive FIFA in both Division Rivals and Weekend League would only net you about 200 to 350k if, and that's a big if, you're lucky. No way you'll be able to afford items like Moments Hullet or R9 playing and grinding the game focused solely on gameplay. It has gotten to the point where people with thousands of hours put into this game already still can't afford those items, and that is completely absurd. And I believe there are some incentives for EA to make these top foot items available to most of the community, as long as it's within reason. One of the incentives would be to bridge the disconnect between the casual FIFA player and the esports scene, because it's not news that only a small percentage of foot users are invested in FIFA esports. And I give credits to Japes for bringing up this point in a series of tweets. Links to the thread can be found in the description. But basically, people fail to relate to FIFA esports for many reasons. One of them being that the foot items they see used in qualifier events and all the different e-leagues around the world are unattainable to them. This makes the esport events a terrible viewing experience, because when they want to hop on FIFA to recreate what their favorite pro did in the event, they can't because they simply lack the tools. So if EA made these elite items reasonably attainable to everyone that plays foot, then the esports scene would be viewed and followed at a much higher rate than it is right now. So those are my thoughts on the situation, but shifting back to the squad, we were able to reach Gold 1 this weekend. The tactics were surprisingly effective, and the losses can be attributed to Weekend League fatigue, my fullbacks getting caught on the counter sometimes, and a few games where I was just simply outplayed. But results aside, I had a ton of fun tinkering with this formation, the tactics, and using these players. And that is going to bring us to the end of this episode. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like or let me know in the comments below. You guys can also follow me on Twitter. I'm always looking to chat about all things footy. Thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you all in the next video.